Okay. So, good morning. Thank you for your interest to join this webinar and, of course, for your availability to be with us today. As you already know, this webinar is organized in the frame of ERA Talent Project, which is funded by European Commission under Horizon Europe. This project is supporting the Pan-European EURAXESS network, which is dedicated to mobility of researchers and career development of researchers. In the frame of this project, we implement one of the main activities is these webinars. In total, we organize 15 webinars. We are close to the end of this activity in April. So there are 2 or 3 more webinars to be organized. Nevertheless, all the recordings of the webinars are uploaded in the Pan-European EURAXESS portal under Career Development section. So you can visit it and see the previews and of course all the few that they are remaining that will be uploaded in the next months. At this point, I would like to mention also that after the webinar, I will distribute to the registered participants a feedback form to collect your suggestions for improvement. I assume that this activity will continue in the future project of EURAXESS, as it was in the previous one. So it's an activity that will have a continuation, and we always target to organize more webinars every time, depending on the budget. So at this point, after the introduction for the project and the webinar, I would like to thank Pierantonios, who is our instructor today, a very experienced person in projects, especially in these fields. We organized one previous webinar also for Skłodowska-Curie actions. You can find this also in the portal. And congratulate him. The last few days, I was informed that he was promoted to the head of research. He can say more words about him and his work. I don't want to take more time from you, Pierantonios. You can start.
Thank you, Achilleas. Thank you very much. Can you hear clearly? Achilleas, do you confirm? Yes, okay, thank you. And I guess you see my presentation. So thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time zone you're watching this. I am Pierantonios Papazoglou. I have been honored by the ERA Talent Project to be your presenter today. I want to avoid the, the term trainer. And I would like to especially thank CERTH and CPAC, and personally Achilleas Tsiligeridis for this, for one more opportunity to be with you here today, even through a web form. I have agreed to this because in the EURAXESS network, we share a common value of indeed hands-on assisting and helping researchers. So it is not something that we, and by we I mean all the people in the EURAXESS services centers and the EURAXESS network, it is not something that we do lightly. We do it seriously, we do it with professionalism, and most of all, we do it free. But as I like to say, these services, these support services, these training services, these career development services are free, but they are definitely not cheap. So I urge all of you in the audience to always follow what the EURAXESS network is doing. It is a very important initiative of the European Commission, and it has been taken up very seriously by important organizations all over Europe. This is something that a dear friend always used to say when we were starting workshops. And I would like to thank Achilleas Tsiligeridis for allowing me to dedicate this webinar to dear friend Dimitrios Sanopoulos, whom we recently lost. Allow me to say a few words. In 2005, 2006, in 2005, 2006, I started my career in European projects, but it was in 2000.
Pierantonios cannot hear you.
Oh, okay. Now you can hear me?
Yeah.
It was somehow pressed. Sorry. So I was saying, did you hear the urging to follow the services of EURAXESS?
Yeah. Just when you started for Mr. Sanopoulos in 2005, 2006, you said.
Okay, it was something got pressed. So I said in 2005, 2006, I started my career in European projects, but it was in 2008 that I had the opportunity, the blessing to start my career as a national contact point and as a coordinator of a bridgehead organization of EURAXESS. The first ever activity that I did as a national contact point was a EURAXESS bridgehead organization meeting. And the first person I met was Dimitrios Sanopoulos, who later became a mentor. He was one of the initiators, one of the instigators, and one of the people who really took up and drove the ERA Mobility, and later EURAXESS initiative. And I sincerely thank Achilleas Tsiligeridis for giving me the opportunity to dedicate today's workshop to Dimitrios. So there are some of you in the audience who knew Dimitrios Sanopoulos. I saw some names, familiar names popping up. So join me together in dedicating this workshop to Dimitrios as a thank you for everything that he has done, not only for the Hellenic, the Greek EURAXESS network, but for the EURAXESS network in general. So moving on. Today we have agreed with Achilleas to try to present to you Horizon Europe at a glance, at a brief glance, because we want to focus mainly on the WIDERA program and more specifically in hints and tips for proposal writing for the WIDERA program for researchers coming from widening countries, which are anyway the main target of the WIDERA program. So what you're going to see today is not a full-scale workshop about Horizon Europe. We're going to browse through what Horizon Europe is, what you need to know about Horizon Europe, and then we're going to present mainly hints and tips. I also have a slide on a suggested strategy. Why it is me today? Like Achilleas said, I do have experience in being a national contact point and a program committee member for Horizon, for FP7 even, and then Horizon. And then as a proposer myself, because I left the National Contact Point office, I joined a research institution where I was able to contribute in gaining a WIDERA teaming center of excellence. And then after leaving also that institution, in this institution where I am now, which is the European University Cyprus, I contributed in gaining a twinning. So aside from overall particular experience in other clusters and other programs of Horizon Europe, I have also specific, let's say, preference also to WIDERA, my Skłodowska-Curie actions and WIDERA. So this slide is here not to boast, but just to show you that the person presenting has personal and institutional experience. So I am going to present to you Horizon Europe at a glance and WIDERA hints and tips from a proposer's point of view, as someone who has been there and done that, not as a national contact point or a bridgehead organization. Although, of course, what I say is has sprinkles of my NCP experience. I will not tire you a lot with these few slides. This is just to show you where I come from now. I work at the Center of Excellence for Risk and Decision Sciences at the European University Cyprus. European University Cyprus being one of the major private universities in Cyprus. I joined it in December 2021. Since then, we managed to renew our HR logo, and we managed to also establish a EURAXESS services center within the EURAXESS Cyprus network. In CERIDES, which is one of the centers of the European University Cyprus, we're a small group. We like to call ourselves a boutique center of excellence, but we have had what we like to say several successes. We have amassed quite a few of competitive funding, and so on and so forth. I don't want to tire you. Lately, our latest achievement is being able to gain a UNESCO chair in disaster risk reduction and societal safety in the southeastern Mediterranean. This slide is what I wanted to show you. This is what justifies me as a member of CERIDES now to talk to you about WIDERA, because this is the twinning that we managed to achieve. It is not a typical twinning. It is 4 twinnings in one, because we did not choose to have one advanced partner, but rather 5. But I will tell you later about this. So enough about me and where I come from, my institution. If my bosses ask you, make sure to tell them that yes, Pierantonios presented everything about his university and his center. But let's now go deeper into what we are going to do today. So as I told you, because we are addressing an applicant audience from widening countries, we have structured with Achilleas this presentation in the form of a funded applicant's perspective. This is why I keep telling you what I have gained, etc., etc. Why? Because I think this will be more useful to you. I will show you also a little bit of a strategy suggestion, but basically we will be focusing on what we realized about the contexts of the proposal. So I will not be giving you national contact point statistics, success rates, and things that you can find yourself. You can go on the FNT portal, you can go on the internet, you can find a lot of things out now. What it is important to gain from us today here is the perspective of exactly people who have done this, and how did we do it, and what are our thoughts about how we did it. So I will give you also a few hints and tips then on consortium mechanics, so why and how we build our consortiums. And then our, Achilleas will laugh now, our famous hints and tips on proposal writing, basically what to consider in the application. And we will try to do this in the 3.5, 4 hours that we have. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so what we realized and what we considered for Horizon Europe, and especially for WIDERA. Some truths to realize as an applicant before getting started. The Horizon Europe proposal is not just a paper or an article for a journal. Don't misunderstand the word just. I know what it means to prepare a paper to be submitted and peer reviewed, etc., etc. I've done it myself. But what I mean here is that most researchers, and especially those who are less experienced, they consider that the most important part is the science part, the excellence part. It is the one which is graded, which is scored with the most gravity, usually 50% of the mark, but it is not the only thing constituting a Horizon Europe proposal. A Horizon Europe proposal is basically a pitch to receive funding based on the excellence, the impact, and the implementation of the research proposed. Especially in the WIDERA case, so in the sub schemes, the schemes and the sub schemes of the WIDERA program, It is also a pitch of the potential for improved access to excellence, for attracting and retaining talent, and for strategic reforms in general. So there is an extra because the WIDERA-Programme has been developed by the European Commission within the Horizon Europe realm of programs exactly to assist, to boost widening environments, so the less developed, let's say mildly, research environments of the widening countries to boost themselves upwards, to make reforms, to attract and retain talent, to improve their excellence, to improve their research capacities, to improve their research management administration capacities, and so on and so forth. Overall, we need to realize that the European Commission has been doing this for quite a while. Horizon Europe is not the first framework program. Okay? It will not be the last for sure. But what we mean here is that the European Commission, over these tens of years, has developed particular policy and mandate backgrounds. You should get acquainted with this before writing a proposal. You should know, I'm not saying by heart, but you should definitely browse through the policy documents, the background documents, the reference documents constituting the backbone of Horizon Europe. Someone wants to ask a question? No.
You can proceed. Yes, it was just an open microphone.
And interference. Why we are insisting on this? Because to write a competitive proposal for Horizon Europe, we insist that it is not only about the excellence and the science of it. It is, but please ensure that you score well also on the impact and the implementation. And particularly for the WIDERA case, where you need improved access, attracting data, you need to acquaint yourselves with those policies of Horizon Europe and of WIDERA that push proposals, that show rather proposals where to go. What are the policies of the European research area for attracting and retaining talent? What are the strategic reforms that the European research area wants to achieve, etc., etc.? You should browse through these documents, understand them, and deliver them through your proposal. So make sure to address also those parts because they are important, especially for the WIDERA case. And please do so through the particular language and jargon and structure and processes that the European Commission has put in place. And I'm talking about all the templates, the policy documents, the work programs, etc., etc., etc. The bullet point about the philosophy of competitive calls, I always include it. Achilleas knows this and he smiles. I take it on me to say that I include it especially in audiences from the southeastern Mediterranean, but it is true for audiences from all widening countries. There are, as you well know, we are all from widening countries, so we can say this to ourselves. We come from countries where frequently there are misconceptions about the Brussels funding. So, like I am urging you in the previous bullet points to get acquainted with the Brussels language, what I call Brussels English, I urge you to understand that the philosophy of Brussels in this case is competitive calls, is not subsidies. So be sure to understand that you're not going to fill out a form, a template, and submit it and wait for funding. Doesn't work that way. You have to put together a competitive proposal because the calls are announced by the Commission based on the work programs that have been announced by the Commission. Those work programs have been structured based on the policies and reference documents that I was telling you about. And then you, as the widening country researcher, institution, etc., come to address the call. So you should put together a competitive proposal. And please forget about any stereotypes and misconceptions about Brussels fundings. I will say this as politically incorrect as possible. It is not just the Germans, the French, and the Italians or the Spanish taking funding from Brussels. It is all nicely put together competitive proposals based on their excellence, impact, and implementation that receive funding from Brussels. It is not perhaps the best ever evaluation system, but it is a strong and solid evaluation system with minimal possible errors. It is a peer review system of evaluation, so forget about any stereotypes that are connected to subsidies. These are competitive calls. And again, I can't stress enough that the proposals are evaluated by external expert evaluators who are guided by the Commission on how to evaluate and what to evaluate based on strict peer review processes, meaning that you can get yourselves on the expert panels. So one of the messages from today is please go on the FNT portal and sign up under the Work as an Expert tab, because if you do get invited to be an expert evaluator for proposals in your field, forget about WIDERA, I'm talking about in general. If you do get invited to act as an expert evaluator, you will not need any Pierantonios or any Achilleas to give you any more workshops, because it is indeed a very, very rigorous going up the learning curve experience on how to evaluate proposals. And then, of course, you take the learnings on how to prepare proposals yourself. So these were some truths to realize as an applicant. And here are some of the thoughts that we have had over the years on how to showcase this famous European added value that all programs, including WIDERA, want to see in your proposal. What does European added value mean? We can start a discussion now and end it tomorrow morning, and still we will not have found the pure definition of what is European added value. So we try to describe it with our experiences over the years as the European dimension and pathways to European impact. Put in very simple terms, it is not about just your institution or just your country, a solution that will serve only your institution or your country. It is about transnationality, replicability, and transferability. Both in the challenges and problems you pinpoint to address, and also about the solutions you want to propose. This is true for overall Horizon Europe. For the widening actions, for the WIDERA program, I will show you in a minute also some a little extras on what you need to address as added value. Don't forget that Horizon Europe, including WIDERA, it is strongly about the European Green Deal, the European Green Transition, and the objectives and the scopes of the EU missions in general. So please make sure that vis-a-vis what your field of science and your discipline is in your proposal, make sure to reflect also principles, scopes, objectives of these backbone reference documents of Horizon Europe. Now, this is the map, as I like to call it, of Horizon Europe. You see that the widening participation and strengthening the European research area, the WIDERA program, is a horizontal program, exactly scoping especially about strengthening the participation, widening the participation, spreading the excellence in the so-called less developed countries, the innovation follower countries, also allowing them to perform reforms and to enhance their research and innovation systems, overall guiding to a further enhanced pan-European R&I system, the European research area. Why the Commission has developed this particular program, the WIDERA program? Well, exactly to, like I said in the beginning, to allow to the innovation following countries, the less developed countries, as we say, to have a more competitive chance to boost themselves, to boost their institutions, their organizations, the universities, their research ecosystems, so that they will enhance exactly their research innovation capacities by attracting talent, but retaining them, and by performing reforms in their research management and administration cultures, but also in their research performing cultures. What do we mean by these innovation followers or these quote unquote less advanced countries who are eligible to be the coordinators, the hosts of WIDERA actions? Well, you see here a list of countries. This is taken exactly out of the work program 2026-2027. So this is not something that I'm making up myself. This is from a screenshot from the official document, the work program. And I will not name the countries. I mean, you see the list here. From now on, also in this presentation, we will be calling them widening countries so that we all understand each other. Of course, I urge you to seek out and find and download the work program for WIDERA, because a work program is the basic document of reference for any program within Horizon Europe. There is a work program, obviously, also for WIDERA. It is a very important document that you should download and have, not only because it shows you the calls and the destinations, but also because it gives you the background thinking behind exactly the WIDERA, which, as I urged you in the beginning, you should consider and you should take into account. Now, a few extras to realize as an applicant from a widening region, from a widening country. Besides the truths that I showed you, you should realize before, especially for WIDERA, you need to also showcase, on top of everything else, how your proposal, how you align with the smart specialization strategy of your country, of your region. So in this case, you should also consider reference documents such as the cohesion policy, the enlargement and neighborhood policy. These are, again, hints and tips on what reference documents use. I know and I understand that I'm telling you to seek out and find hundreds of pages of policy jargon. Like I said, I'm not telling you to learn these things by heart, but you should definitely have them as reference documents, browse through them, look at the Brussels English inside them, look at what their scopings and the objectives are, because you need to utilize them and to show inside your proposal that you are addressing them. Because you need to show European added value, you need to show alignment with your national smart specialization strategy, hint, hint, download your national smart specialization strategy. You need to show how you synergistically capitalize any national or regional funding investments and how you align everything in your proposal. And on top of that, how you align all this with the science that you are proposing, because you are proposing a particular science. Okay? Yes, it is not an easy job, but consider that this is an extra special program, WIDERA, targeting specifically our widening countries. So it remains a competitive opportunity for us. You need to show basically to yourselves first, but then you show also in the proposal, especially in the consortium style schemes of WIDERA, the twinning, the teaming, the excellence hubs, you need to show how you and your hierarchies are ready to go for such reforms and how you are going to do this. So you need to show what are the changes and reforms that you are ready, and I will say comfortable, to establish, targeting towards an ERA grade excellence, a European Research Area grade excellence. This is not straightforward, and I'm speaking from experience. You know the widening countries. You know who we are. You know the mentalities and philosophies in our research ecosystems. So we need to overcome these mentalities and we need to reform these mentalities, these structures, these practices. This is why we are opting to go for WIDERA schemes, to give us the opportunity to reform ourselves, our institutions, our regions, and hopefully the ecosystem of our countries where our research is proposed. Again, not an easy task, but the WIDERA program and the schemes within the WIDERA program exist exactly for that. And this is why it is competitive for countries like ours, and why it is targeting countries like ours. You need to show also how you will establish long-standing win-win partnerships with the advanced partners. In several schemes of WIDERA, especially the consortium-style ones, you need to involve also advanced partners, meaning partners not from the widening countries, but from the advanced countries. Okay? This is again the teaming call, the twinning call, etc. Not so much the excellence hubs, but especially for twinning and teaming, you need to include advanced partners. When you include advanced partners, you need to show a situation, a relationship, a partnership when it is not only the advanced partner from an advanced country providing and teaching the less advanced, but it has to be a win-win. Okay? It has to show, the proposal in this case has to show also how the advanced partner gains something from the partnership. All right? Mainly what? Reputation, image visibility, brain circulation, talent attraction, etc., etc. Now, I have a slide here for a suggestion of a strategy. I'm not saying that this is, the epitome of research strategy, but especially within the WIDERA program, out of personal, if you will, experience through all my years as a national contact point in my previous institution, in my current institution, etc., I think that for the research ecosystems that more or less are the same in our widening countries, Cyprus, Armenia, Montenegro, doesn't matter. I as Pierantonios, Achilleas perhaps might have a different opinion, but I as Pierantonios think that perhaps you should start exploiting WIDERA first by trying to implement a twinning to build your partnership with advanced partners, then step it up to enhancing your excellence ecosystem, perhaps through an excellence hubs proposal or through an EURAXESS proposal, perhaps also through excellence initiatives, hop-ons, etc. And then move to the famous lighthouse of excellence teaming with the very generous funding, etc., etc. Why do I say this? I have experienced going directly to teaming. I have experience starting from twinning. I have experience starting from excellence hubs. I think that a maturing, stepping up manner that allows you and your institution and your region to nicely grow with patience is this step-up strategy, as I call it. Start from twinning to build your partnership, enhance your excellence ecosystem through excellence hubs or EURAXESS or whatever, and then you can consider yourself mature enough to go for the big money, for teaming, which is not just the big money, it is also the big reforms, the hard reforms, the deep reforms that need a level of maturity that is not necessarily there to begin with our institutions. We have to be honest. Okay, this is a personal suggestion. This takes time, this takes patience, but I think it is a strategy allowing proper time for maturity while also gaining competitive funding and growing yourself. Achillea, you can jump in if you have a different opinion.
I fully agree. And actually, in my organization, we are stuck in twinning. So it's becoming so competitive.
Yeah.
that we are. It's very hard for us even to gain a winning proposal, and we are planning some proposals also for this April.
Mm-hmm.
The previous twinning, it was 2023. Personally, I was involved in 3 proposals, my wider team in more. None of them succeeded, and with 13 and a half or 14. So it's so
Large scores.
competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so competitive now. No matter that winning has a lot of opportunities, better percentage of success due to the high funding. If I remember correctly, doing the math in this twinning ending in April, minimum of proposals that will pass is 138. If everybody goes for the full budget, which is the case usually. But you can imagine that in the previous one it was a little bit more than 850 proposals were submitted. So coming back to what in the past was the usual rate of success around 10-12%, this is now an exception. And the European Commission actually has difficulty to separate the excellent proposals that have 15, and we are coming, as you know, in secondary things that they
Evaluation
have to
measures.
examine. Yes, like your gender, if you have gender balance covered, so you have
The
also women
horizontal, the
in your
cross-cutting issues,
team.
as we call
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
if you have HR logo. And after that, I don't know how, if everybody of those succeeded and being more than those that could be funded, how they will manage to do it.
If you start addressing, then if you have addressed EU green transition, if you have
Yeah.
addressed the emissions, if you have addressed world peace, I don't know. It becomes more and more competitive. You are right. This is why we are doing trainings like this one today, to try to give the more ideas and more hints and tips possible. Because Achilleas is right, my dear friends in the audience. It has become so competitive that we very frequently find, and by way I mean also as an evaluator, we very frequently find ourselves in trying to distinguish between perfect scores. So you start losing the exequo of written in the work program, because you have perfect scores, have 15, and you have to start to rank the proposals based on other secondary, as Achilleas mentioned, secondary criteria of distinguishing, which is the very important cross-cutting or horizontal issues. He mentioned some of them. It is the how you address gender balance, gender equality. It is not just including both women and men. It is a whole concept about gender equality and gender consideration, security considerations, ethics considerations, whether you have the human resources strategy logo, whether you are involved in EURAXESS, many things that are cross-cutting and horizontal issues. You can find which are the important ones. You can feel which one are the important ones by reading and browsing the reference documents and the policy documents to understand what the European Commission is aiming at through Horizon Europe and through WIDERA. This is why we insist always with Achilleas to start the slides with these truths to realize. You have to understand that there's a bulk of reference documents and background documents you should browse through before reaching the stage of putting together the science, the excellence of your proposal. Achille, I interrupted you. You wanted to follow up with something, or shall I continue?
No, you please continue.
Thanks. In any case, dear friends, at the bottom of the screen, you can see the link to the work program. This is the current work program. If there are people in the audience who do not know what the work program is, A work program is the official document of the European Commission reflecting the philosophy and the calls for each program. So, like you have the work program for Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, you have the work program for Cluster 3 civil security, you also have the work program for the WIDERA scheme, the WIDERA-Programme of Horizon Europe. In the Brussels English, in the jargon of the Commission now, it is called the WIDERA part of the work program because they consider that there is a Horizon Europe overall work program and it is separated in parts. Anyway, we call it for short the work program for WIDERA. It is the work programs are always documents of a few tens of pages, 100 pages, 110 depending, and they contain, like I said, the philosophy of each program and the calls. So in this URL that I have in the bottom of the screen, you will find the description of what is WIDERA and what are the calls to expect. In this particular case for 2026-2027. So, consortium mechanics, why and how we build our consortium. To achieve this famous European added value, to achieve WIDERA scopes, you need good advanced partners and a good consortium, especially because the flagship calls, the flagship schemes of WIDERA are obviously the ones that include consortia, and most frequently this consortium must include advanced partners, with the exception of the excellence hubs, which you include partners from widening countries like yours. But in any case, you need a good consortium. So you have to ask yourself some questions. Are these partners knowledgeable of the scopes of WIDERA? I insist on this because the WIDERA scopes, as you saw, are further particular than the overall Horizon scopes. So the advanced partners that you will find, meaning partners from the advanced countries, maybe they know about Horizon Europe and they are competitive in Horizon Europe, but maybe they don't understand nicely the particularities of WIDERA and how to assist a widening country, a widening institution. So you should explain, you should make them understand and be knowledgeable of the particularities of the scopes of WIDERA. Have they understood why and how this is done? So have they understood all that we have been telling you with Achilleas since earlier today? Are they reliable? Do they deliver on time? Are they suitable for the purposes of the project, research-wise, but also supporting you administratively? Is their organization able to provide the necessary resources? Which resources? The ones that will showcase how you as a widening institution will raise your attractiveness and reputation, will raise your capacity to attract talent, to attract researchers, and also to retain them. Those resources of the advanced partners that will help you implement those necessary reforms. And here it is again what Achilleas just mentioned and me. Do they contribute also to the horizontal, the cross-cutting issues? Is also very important. The characteristics, so to speak, of a good WIDERA-oriented consortium as to have an experienced widening institution coordinator. To have, of course, experts, scientists, researchers with track record, to have good infrastructure and resources. But Pierantonios, this is why we're engaging to improve them. Yes, to improve them. Of course, you will improve the overall system by implementing also new, but don't go inside if you don't have some sort of national complementary funding or national, regional complementary resources that you can show in the proposal. You are capitalizing on them to grow them. Okay? You need partners contributing, especially if we are talking about twinning and teaming, but also if we are talking about excellence hubs. You need partners that are showing contribution to the triple I dimension and the quintuple helix. The triple I dimension is the famous from Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, internationality, interdisciplinarity, intersectorality. The quintuple helix is the joining of the holistic joining of an ecosystem. It is an ecosystem approach to the research environment, to the research ecosystem. So you have academia, governance, business entrepreneurship, the civic society. These are the four helixes under climate and green consideration, which is the fifth helix. Because remember, Horizon Europe is about EU green transition, Green Deal, etc., etc. So when you build consortia for WIDERA, especially for the excellence hubs, especially for the twinning, especially for the teaming, which are the flagship schemes, according to my opinion, you need to showcase ecosystems of R&I. So you need to include partners that will address the triple I dimension and the quintuple helix. And of course, on the right-hand side of the screen, you see here some of the of the cross-cutting issues. You have gender balance, multidisciplinarity, and complementarity. No major overlaps because you want to show synergies, relevant stakeholders, and then the classic stuff that we say to all proposals: balanced work distribution, added value, and win-win for all partners. It is preferable that you have had previous collaborations with some, if not all of these partners, because then you show how you reinforce these collaborations. And of course, as simple as it sounds, you should have commitment by everyone to the cause, to the scope of the particular proposal, and to the particular consortium. How we build our consortium, especially for and with advanced partners? Well, this is not ancient philosophy, ancient wisdom. Of course, you start from personal contacts, people and institutions you have worked with before in publications, in other collaborations, in other EU projects, working groups, working committees, conferences, etc., etc. I'm not saying something, like I said, ancient wisdom here. It's obvious that you will start from here. This is how we did it also for ourselves. Again, this is a slide from my twinning scheme. We had institutions and collaborators we had worked with in previous EU projects. We went for a twinning proposal. We made a very particular twinning proposal where we twinned not with one advanced partner, but with 5, as you see, and we produced very concrete outcomes based on the flagship expertise of each of the advanced partners. So this is a way. This is a way to do it, if you will. That's why I'm not presenting this to boast, to show you how good I am, but it was just to show you the thinking that we put behind the twinning. And as Achilleas said, because especially the twinning scheme is becoming more and more competitive, like the rest, perhaps you should consider also out-of-the-box approaches. I'm not saying that this is the best way to go. It worked for us. It doesn't mean it will work for you, but you could consider, out of the box approaches to twinnings, based, of course, also on your field of science. Our field of science, which was disaster management, wildfires, etc., facilitated us in doing this. But I put it there just as a thought on how we did it, on how we did this. There are, of course, other ways to approach partners. Post actions is a very good science networking opportunity to find partners. Of course, through a partner search of the FNT portal and the EURAXESS network and etc., etc. But let's be honest, try to find reliable contacts, people whom whom you have worked with, or at least your colleagues or your collaborators know them and have worked with, because this is how you forge relationships that are up to the level of submitting proposals to the European Commission. Now, what to consider? I have time, right, Achilleas? I think I'm on time.
You have time.
Some hints and tips on proposal writing. what to consider when we're preparing an application for Horizon Europe, and especially for WIDERA. First of all, of course, the overall, the general useful links and documents. I've mentioned the FNT portal quite a few times. It is the basic funding and tenders portal that the European Commission has gathered all the funding opportunities. You will need to select the programming period. We are now running the 2021-2027 programming period. And of course, you will need to select Horizon Europe in this case, but there are also the funding opportunities also of other programs, DG ECO, UCPM, Justice, etc., etc. But for Horizon Europe, obviously, you choose the Horizon Europe option, and then you go through the programs, sub-programs, and schemes of Horizon Europe. Which are these? If you remember earlier in the slides, I presented what I called the map with the 3 pillars and the WIDERA scheme at the bottom. So from that slide, you see the available programs and sub-programs of Horizon Europe. You will not see them distributed in pillars necessarily in the FNT portal, but at least you know what sort of programs and sub-programs you are searching under the Horizon Europe. The FNT portal is, compared to what we used to know Achilleas from earlier framework programs, the FNT portal now is very user-friendly, I assure you. But of course, it needs, like every portal and every platform, it needs acquaintance with it. So go play with it, acquaint yourself, familiarize yourself with the FNT portal and how to retrieve information from it. Now that it is, let's say, dead time, because if you choose to acquaint yourself with the system, with the portal, a few days before a deadline of interest, you understand that it is a mountain piling on you, and then you start complaining that it is not user-friendly or whatever. So start early, do things early on time. Of course, again, this is not ancient wisdom, but we can't stress it enough. Also, as national contact points, Achilleas is still a national contact point, and I'm pretty sure that he says this all the time. Start early so that you give yourself time to acquaint yourself with these systems and these portals and how to retrieve and pinpoint information, but also time to ask questions, to ask to national contact points and bridgehead organizations for yourself. So you don't run, late into the last minute. Having mentioned
Pierantonios,
that, yes.
don't submit last minute.
Also,
yes. Because Portal has, speaking about Portal,
delays.
Many difficulties. So
it becomes heavy. It becomes heavy. I think I have this as a bullet point in the end somewhere to make a joke also about it. Mentioning the national contact points and the EURAXESS service, etc. Through the FNT portal, you have also the help desk and support services. Make sure you locate who are the people available to help you. Please know who your national contact points are, who your EURAXESS services support centers are. Again, these are people whose job is to know all these things and to help. These are people like Achilleas, not me anymore. I used to be one. And again, they are very experienced. Most of them are very experienced. The organizations that host them are definitely very experienced, and they do this for free, but their services are not cheap. I use this punchline always because it is important for you, researchers and applicants, to understand that there is a small army of people all over Europe traveling to each other, making projects with each other, focusing on how they will improve their support services to you. This is not a cheap endeavor. This is a free endeavor for you, but it is not cheap. So please take a few moments to pinpoint who these people are. Achilleas, you know already. Perhaps you know also the people from CPAC and from the other institutions of the ERA Talent Project. But make sure you know who the national contact point is for the program that you want to address, in this case, WIDERA, and which is the EURAXESS Service Center nearer to you. Another hint and tip, especially for Horizon Europe overall, locate the annotated model grant agreement. Why? This is a secret weapon of the national contact points. The national contact points frequently answer questions to their clients, to their proposals, out of the annotated model grant agreement. What is the annotated model grant agreement? It is a model of the grant agreement you are going to sign with the Commission when you win a proposal and it becomes a grant. Okay, so why is this useful for us, Pierantonios? It is useful for you to know what is in there before writing the proposal, because isn't it useful to know what the Commission will expect from you to do inside the contract and to utilize it to show already in the proposal that you know what it is you are going to do and how you're going to do it? And it is not only a model grant agreement, but it is also annotated, meaning it has examples and short explanations in human English of what it is they mean in the articles and clauses of the grant agreement in Brussels English. There, I said it in one breath. Okay? So go find the annotated model grant agreement. Now the valid version is the one of 1st April 2025. You can find it in the URL that I have there. And last but most certainly not least, EURAXESS. EURAXESS is a wealth of information, a wealth of support, a treasure. It has even a policy library where you can find a lot of policy reference documents, the ones that we were telling you in the beginning of the presentation, reference documents, background documents, policy documents, especially referring to European research area, to human resources strategy, to mobility, to support of researchers, reforms of the R&I system, widening participation, etc., etc. So go find it, and anyway, browse through EURAXESS, because there's a lot of information on the charter and code, on policy, support of mobility of researchers, and so on and so forth. Career development, etc., etc. Things that you will need to address cleverly inside your proposals, especially in proposals relating to WIDERA. Achilleas, you want to say something here, because you are still active in both EURAXESS and as a national contact point. You want to add?
I'm not the national contact point.
You're not a national? Okay.
Yeah.
Maris Skłodowska-Curie actions, no?
No. I
Okay,
never been.
sorry.
Mr. Sanopoulos was.
Sanopoulos.
Actually, but being with, collaborating with him for more than 20 years,
Yeah,
I
there
have
you go.
experience.
But you are EURAXESS anyway, so
yeah, we're
please
coordinating
complement what I
EURAXESS
said.
Greece. Yeah, what else to say? Those people, EURAXESS network, I can say more about EURAXESS network. It's a network of active in the last 20 years. Someone is, please mute your microphones. Thank you. And we have experience not only following the all research policies of European Commission, actually the coordinators of every EURAXESS network in every country, at least twice a year, they are invited by European Commission to feed it with the latest policies, all for all research area, for any relevant policy and upcoming policies. So they are people, they are very up to date also in general policies, not only dedicated policies for WIDERA or NCP. They have in deep NCPs for Maris Skłodowska-Curie. They have deep knowledge on this matter, more than a EURAXESS colleague, but EURAXESS colleagues have this wide understanding of all the policies and how these policies are interconnected. So yeah, I fully agree with Pierantonios. Visit EURAXESS also for jobs and opportunities, exactly. Not only for learning about proposals. And of course, if you are Moving around Europe, EURAXESS can assist you in this mobility and offer this kind of trainings and personalized support for you and your families.
Very valuable support, and like I said, people working on how to improve themselves in supporting you, the researchers, and your institutions. Free but not cheap service. So I will not stay long on this, but I wanted to make sure that I include this in the slides, which Achilleas, I'm pretty sure we will distribute the slides later, right?
Yes, of course.
There's no secrets in the slides. You can use them, you can utilize them. We anyway quote and reference, as you see at the bottom left, we have also the sources where we're getting things. But these are anyway things that you can find in the work program in official documents. So you can use the slides. And of course, also the hints and tips. We have said them so many times that I'm pretty sure they are floating around in the internet. So it's not a matter of not securing them somehow. But in any case, we will give you the slides after today, so you can browse through the bullet. I will not read all the bullet points. I don't do this anyway. But let's say that some of the key principles to consider are that your work must be within the scope and the expected impact of the work program call, destination, and topic that you choose, in this case, WIDERA. Your scientific methodology must be sound, must be interdisciplinary and intersectoral at best. You should consider, of course, cross-cutting issues like gender, like open science initiatives, etc., etc. You should showcase how your project will contribute to the impact and to the expected outcomes described in the work program, and so on and so forth. Like I said, I will not go through all the bullet points. What it is basically saying here is you should take care of all three sections of the proposal: the excellence, the impact, and implementation. So again, it is not only about your science, it is not only about the excellence part and the methodology, but it is also about the impact part, the expected outcomes, the scoping, and also the how you will do it. So the implementation, the work plan, how you distribute work packages, tasks, etc., etc. Horizontal and cross-cutting considerations. On the left-hand side, you have the main cross-cutting considerations in Horizon Europe. We mentioned this before with Achilleas. On the right-hand side, you have a little bit of more human English, if you will, of what you should address. So when we say gender dimension in the research innovation content, okay, sounds Brussels English. What we really mean is we would like to see how you address the gender dimension in the R&I, taking into account sex and gender in the whole research and innovation process, and not only making a balance of this many men, these many women in the team. So it is not only about that. And so on and so forth. I mean, the do no significant harm principle. What is it? Okay, go to the European Green Deal, find about the 6 environmental objectives and the taxonomy, and see how your proposal addresses this, if and how your proposal addresses this, and make sure to tell it in the proposal, because it gains you an extra tick, if you will, in how you have addressed cross-cutting issues, how you have had horizontal considerations of these open science, pathways to impact, etc., etc. Lately also of artificial intelligence. Why this is important? This is overall important because it is a main scope of the Horizon Europe, but also more pragmatically and more hands-on. Like Achilleas said, the situation has become so competitive that it might be the case that your proposal ends up being evaluated for ranking based on the secondary, the cross-cutting, the horizontal. So I don't want to tell them to name them as secondary, because they might be extremely important. So they are cross-cutting considerations that you should have in your proposal as well. Okay, the application form, this is just a very brief taste. I will not go into detail because these are things that you can find yourselves and you should find yourselves. And like I promised in the beginning, I will not give you things that you can find yourselves in the FNT portal, but I'm just including this to show you that the proposal contains two parts. Part A, the administrative form in the IT system, the FNT portal, and Part B, which you write hands-on in a separate RTF, in a Word document, in an RTF document, and then you upload in the FNT portal as PDF. There is Part B1, Part B2 in some cases. You will find out, but make sure why I'm using the slide. I'm using the slide to remind you that make sure that whatever you introduce in Part A matches what you introduce in Part B. So double check what you are saying, what you are telling in Part B with what you have declared in Part A, because funnily enough, and these are now the oops moments, funnily enough, especially like Achilleas said in the last minute, when you are running with a tremendous amount of stress a few hours before the deadline and you are trying to fill in Part A, and finish up Part B because you left things in the last moment. The ridiculous mistakes happen between Part A and Part B. So again, make sure you start early. Make sure you double check exactly what Part A and what Part B requires, and make sure that these things match between them. This is especially fun in Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, Achillea, as you remember, but it is it happens also in other parts of the Horizon Europe program. It happens also in WIDERA.
If I may,
Of course you may. Yes,
yeah,
because I want to laugh.
please always download the template from the call, because especially for 26-27 there are changes.
Yes.
And then reduction of input in impact, reduction of number of pages. Never rely on a previous template that you already have. Never rely on a similar template. Depending on the call, you can find in this specific call specific hints and instructions that are not available in another call. Take care of that, because the limits are so narrow now, 25 pages and 28 for lump sum, which is crazy. Really crazy on how to address all these things. And if you have in your hands the wrong template, you are just done.
It's even worse.
Because
exactly. You're completely off. So yes, using the right template is one of the common errors. Now I laugh because these are things you might think Achilleas has seen this slide before many times, and he always smiles like I do, because these are things that we have seen. These are things that I have seen also as a national contact point. These are things that I have seen also as a EURAXESS service center coordinator. These are things that I have seen also as an evaluator. I was honored 3-4 times to be called, not for WIDERA, but as an evaluator. So these are things that I have seen. So common traps, usual pitfalls and errors. The proposal is written as a purely scientific paper. Like I said, of course, 50% of the mark is about the excellence, about the methodology, about the science of it, but it is not the only or the most important part. The whole proposal together, excellence, impact, implementation, is the most important. So make sure you don't focus only on the science of it. Generic or insufficiently demonstrated objectives. Not evident contributing status of the advanced partners. This is very WIDERA specific. So you have advanced partners in there, and you think that it is self-explanatory why you have, I will use one of ours, Imperial College London, but then you don't showcase how they contribute and how it is win-win for them. Not appropriate methodology for enhancing and improving the widening institution. So you have just joined the proposal, it means, with advanced partners, thinking that WIDERA provides you with better opportunities, better success rates. Well, Achilleas just told you that this is not the case anymore. So Don't just go for it because you think it helps. Go for it because you really want to make reforms and you really want to take advantage of what the WIDERA scoping provides. The scientific and the innovation strategy of the widening institution is not sufficiently described, or more importantly, it does not show, the proposal does not show how your strategies are aligned to the national smart specialization strategy and or other strategy policies and documents. So especially for WIDERA, make sure that you know what your national or regional smart specialization strategy is, because not in theory, because in practice, proposals will not get funded if they don't show how they button up, how they align, they are in accordance with the scopes that the region and the country has set for itself for smart specialization. I cannot stress it enough. I don't know, Achilleas, if you want to say something else here, but you have to show how you are aligned with your national smart specialization strategy and with the pillars of the smart specialization that your country or your region showcases as important. Otherwise, why are you engaging in a WIDERA? Unclear pathway.
Actually, you're absolutely right, because we say that of course it's a win-win situation, but you are coordinating in twinning, for example, this proposal because you need to improve your organization. You have the idea, you get the opportunity to get some equipment that will be useful, to get experience from more experienced colleagues, but we are in an ecosystem, as Pierantonios explained before, that influence not only CERTH, for example, in my case, but the whole Greek ecosystem of research, which is advancing altogether. And knowing the policy, if exists, actual policy exists in your country, even in written form, just existing, not be implemented for some countries, no matter that, we always try to improve our country, not only ourselves, not only have the motivation to get funding, because we had a discussion on that on the research systems, Pierantonios, 2 weeks ago, and I was explaining you the keycaps of our system, and some people, the most common misunderstanding is that excellence is attracting a lot of funding. This is not excellence. This is the most common mistake of people, and if you cannot persuade yourselves or your partners that this is have an impact, an added value, how you can persuade the assessors, the evaluators? It's obvious, I think.
Exactly. We can't stress it enough. Remember, especially for WIDERA, this is a reforming approach that all calls, all schemes of WIDERA have. So one of the common errors here is not to have a clear IPR strategy, a clear innovation strategy, a clear strategy for capitalization of the outcomes of your proposal, which also includes data management, risk management, etc., etc. It is a common pitfall, a common error for WIDERA proposals. And then a couple of my favorites, and I think of Achilleas as well, especially when you do things at the last minute, sometimes you forget to address essential parts of the template. Or you overshoot, you go above the page limit, which is a ridiculous mistake, but it is more frequent than funny that we have seen this, Achilleas, you know this. And my personal favorite, on the panic of the last minute, you submit the wrong draft. Again, another ridiculous. I have seen this happen. I am not saying stupid things to you now. I have seen this happen. So the major hint here is, really, please do not do this at the last minute, because I think we have convinced you with Achilleas. There is a lot of things to consider, from reference documents and background documents and policies up to deciphering the scope and the objectives and the expected outcomes, up to defining your consortium with the proper partners, whether advanced or from other widening countries, up to finding the proper templates for this call for this year, up to demonstrating all this. So there's a lot of things to do. Really, do not do this at the last minute, please. What evaluators expect? Again, this is not ancient wisdom. I'm pretty sure that several of you are in universities or are in research institutions, and you have marked or evaluated text or essays or scored exams of students, or you have seen as peer reviewers others. So it is not ancient wisdom what I'm doing here. Please don't forget what you expect yourself when you are evaluating something. Please don't forget it when you are writing a proposal. So we as evaluators, we expect well-organizing, flowing text. The proposal. Very nice. I think someone was excited of the evaluators. So, indeed, because evaluators are very excited when they evaluate proposals, please make sure that you give them a well-written and consistent proposal that will be built around the evaluation criteria. This helps the evaluator score more favorably, more easily. Okay? Always revisit and stay within the scope and the expected impact. And of course, the simple things, but the devil is in the details. And as we say, make sure you don't have obvious duplications, bad copy pastes from previous works and projects, because I don't like to see the Semet-Fire proposal and then realize that in the impact you are talking about the CERIDES proposal. Leftover acronym from a different copy paste. Things that have happened, make sure you comb the proposal, that you read it, you double read it, etc., etc. It is nice to use abbreviations and glossary and tables and diagrams, but please make sure that you use the structure from the templates. Use the headings and the subheadings from the templates. Use the page limits from the templates. Use the font size from the templates. Don't improvise, especially now that, like Achilleas said, things have gotten even more strict, and the current templates, the new templates, are very demanding. Please make sure that you use them, and that you use them in a proper way, and of course that you provide accurate, verifiable, and professional content with no emphatic statements. Things that you use also in your scientific, work. But please make sure that, especially for the evaluators in Horizon Europe proposals, also in WIDERA, educate the evaluator. You must strike a thin balance between writing very scientifically of your field, but also educating the evaluator to understand what you want to do. Why? Because the way that the evaluator panel is selected from the pool of evaluators, it means that you might have someone who is not 100% in your field. If we say that overall, as an average, you have 3 evaluators per proposal, every time one of the 3 is absolutely on the subject, but you might get number 2 and number 3 who are not 100% of the subject. So you need to convince all of them. Of course, they are going to have a consensus meeting between them, and what you will see as an evaluation summary report will be the consensus report of those 3. But in the beginning, they will evaluate independently and individually the proposal. So you need to write for the specialist, but also for the non-specialist. This is what I mean here with this bullet point of hints and tips. And of course, no typos, no inconsistencies, no obvious cut and paste, etc., etc. Remember, kiss and kill. Keep it simple, stupid and simple, and then kill, keep it large and legible, especially for, so kiss for the words, for the text, kill for the images and diagrams. What I have here, I have taken from a dear friend, the Professor Marios Avramidis from the University of Cyprus. I have stolen this from him. This is from Gafar in 1981. Use, misuse, and abuse of language in scientific writing. Try to read the passage, and then you will realize that if you take out the red letters, the red words, it still remains concise and to the point. For clear...
Sorry, Pierantonios, we have a hand from our colleague and friend, Adam.
Yes.
Adam, do you want to take the floor?
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, Adam, okay, this colleague.
Sorry,
Hi, Adam,
Pierantonios.
nice to see
Hi.
you. Thanks for honoring me with your presence.
But it's been very useful what you have been saying, and I have a related question exactly on the point of evaluators. What I think is a bit new to me in the current work program is that the Commission says each twinning proposal will be evaluated by 4 evaluators.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you think this changes the prospects? What is the reason for this? What should we look out for in this case? Thank you.
Thanks. I will try to answer in the Q&A, so I don't mess up the flow now, because I don't want to dwell now particularly in the evaluators. But remind me if I don't later in the Q&A. I'm finishing anyway within time, Achilleas, so don't worry. Thanks, Adam. I will return. There is a European Commission's campaign relating to clear writing tips, and I have the URL there. And then, last but not least, it is always suggested that when you are preparing a proposal, whether for Horizon Europe in general or for WIDERA, it is nice to follow the logical framework approach, as it is called. So the why, what, who, and how. I will not read through the bullet points. Again, this is not ancient wisdom, dear friends. I mean, these are things that you anyway implement for other scientific tasks. Make sure you implement them appropriately also within the proposal framework. Successful proposals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. But don't forget also that they have to be pure and clear, especially within the Horizon Europe realm that is trying to address green transition and is trying to address very important missions. So smart is not enough anymore. Please try to implement as much as possible the smart, pure, clear, logical approach for your proposals. Extra hint and tips, especially for twinning, because within this institution that I work now since December 2021, my WIDERA success has been in twinning, and I say my in terms of institution. So the proposal has to convince that through the networking, it will add value and lead structural changes towards excellence. You must have defined objectives and concrete impacts, not only for the scientific approach and logic, but also for the RMA. RMA stands for Research Management Administration. RMA is not just project management, what we say in our everyday speaking. It is a philosophy of managing research and innovation, both in terms of management and directing, but also of administrative support. So go look, for example, what EARMA is doing, or what ENCURA is doing in the United States, so that you gain an idea of what modern RMA is, because modern research management administration is one of the, and reforms in RMA is one of the expected impacts and scopes of WIDERA, and especially of the consortium approach schemes of WIDERA. Please describe clearly the competencies and the synergies with the advanced partners. If you have more than one advanced partner, also the competencies and synergies between them, and how overall it is a win-win. Something that we did, for example, in CEMET Fire, in the twinning project that I showed you. Of course, again, we repeat what we said with Achilleas before, make sure you showcase the contribution and the alignment with the national or regional smart specialization strategy, as well as any other regional European strategies, complementary fundings, etc., etc. You should show, of course, the pathway to the change and the reform in the widening institution, again, both scientifically and in terms of research management administration. And of course, more common things like a clear work plan, contingency planning for any risks, making reforms entails risks, so make sure that you show in the proposal that you know them, you realize them, you pinpoint them, and that you propose also contingency measures to address them. Of course, intellectual property rights, considerations, and again, because this is about enhancing your reputation as well, both scientifically and in terms of reputation in the commons, also make sure that you include a solid communication dissemination strategy with appropriate plans. And of course, you need to show that you really know what you're doing with the budget and the distribution of the budget, especially, like I said, in the calls of WIDERA that are synergistic, that entail consortiums. How it worked for us, and this is again personal, if you will, institutional, but rule of thumb, hint and tip. It might vary for you, but just to give you an idea how we did it, bringing together the consortium started approximately 3 months before the deadline. The preliminary drafting of the proposal 2 months before the deadline. The core writing approximately a month, 3 weeks before the deadline. The full-fledged writing and reviewing and fine-tuning and polishing, etc., it was 3 days before the deadline. However, I have to say here again, this was our personal experience, given that, okay, I'm not boasting here, but I am and we are very experienced in this. So the timings that I present here are for someone of similar experience like mine. Please extrapolate to your understanding, make a self-criticism of yourself, and position yourself. So we would highly recommend that you start right away, even if it is now dead time, so to speak, because you need to acquaint yourself, especially if you are less experienced, you need to acquaint yourself with all the things that we said before. And start, your writing and reviewing as soon as possible. What I say here for twinning, obviously, you can extrapolate also for the other calls of WIDERA, but also for the other calls of Horizon. A little bit about how we addressed the excellence, impact, and implementation. Again, this is personal experience, but more or less you will hear these hints and tips for quite a few, and I'm closing, Achilleas, I'm finishing. So under excellence, pay special attention to create a nice introduction, 1-2 pages, which would lay the ground. It would contextualize to the evaluator what it is you are going to show them that is coming up. And then also we would pay considerable attention to the objectives. For impact, we would actually go to the last section of impact, which is 2.3 summary. Pay attention because now the templates are changing, so it might not be the same numbering that I prepared for this slide, but pay attention to how you summarize nicely, how you show that everything is included in columns, how you then expand throughout the impact section. It is nice to play a balance for the evaluator, for the eyes of the evaluator, to see a balance between, nice tables with juxtaposing things, the expected outcomes of the call, and then what you are going to do to address them, but also to complement with a little bit of text. And then, of course, for implementation, make sure you address the capacity of the participants, the consortium as a whole, you show synergies, you show complementarities, you don't show overlaps, you make your Gantt chart, you make your PER diagram, you write about your work packages, you have a nice work package distribution with tasks, etc., etc. I don't want to go into details. Achilleas and dear friends, dear audience, with this, I finish the presentation of my slides. I would like to particularly thank and acknowledge, you see the bullet points here, the European Commission and its units, REA, EASME, the various units that I have worked with throughout the years. Of course, the national contact points of Horizon Europe, especially the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, national contact points, and the WIDERA net, especially the Hellenic and the Cypriot EURAXESS networks and service centers. And last but not least, the ERA Talent Project that has provided me this honoring opportunity to address a wonderful audience of widening countries researchers. Achilleas, a personal thanks to you. And again, thank you for allowing me to dedicate this presentation, this webinar, to the memory of our dear friend Dimitrios Sanopoulos. With this, I thank you all. I think I'm on time, so Achilleas, you can guide through the Q&A, perhaps giving the floor to Adam again to repose his question so that
so Adam,
I can address it.
Adam already wrote the question to the chat. So what could be the significance of 4 evaluators for each proposal for the proposal writer's point of view?
Okay. Now, what I mentioned, sometimes, especially in the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions webinars and trainings, Adam, you remember that I include a couple of slides on the evaluation approach. I did not do this now because it wasn't the point. But what I said before about the 3 evaluators, this is the overall approach until now. And I mean this roughly. So for the rest of you, dear friends, don't go say, Pierantonios tells us that it is evaluation like this. No. I make the point of telling a little bit the philosophy of the composition of the evaluators panel so that you understand as proposers how you need to write, and particularly that bullet point where I mentioned write for the specialist, but write also for the non-specialist. And I explain always by saying that usually, until now, every proposal has 3 evaluators that are invited individually at the beginning, and then they have a consensus. This is the bulk of the cases. It doesn't mean that until now there have not been cases where also another evaluator has been invited, because there were discrepancies or disagreements between the evaluators and they needed an extra opinion. So including now, by definition, a 4th evaluator, personally, I do not think that it will have a serious impact on how you write the proposal anyway. In fact, I think that probably you will get a more, how can I say, democratic, if you will, a wider perspective. Practically, although I have not experienced it yet, but practically, I think, Adam and dear friends, that it shouldn't change the approach in which you write the proposal. You should still write for the specialist, but also considering the non-specialist. Because I think, Adam, perhaps I will stand corrected, but I think that again, they will make sure that in the composition, not of the triplet, but of the quartet now, you will have at least one person who will be 100% of the subject, if not perhaps 2, since now there are 4. And then for the other 2 or 3, you will have people who are not irrelevant with the subject, but they are less of an expert on the subject. So again, to close it, you as the proposer, you should still be writing both for the specialist, but also educating the less specialist of the... To give you an example for me, not for WIDERA, but for my specific scientific field, which is disaster management, crisis management, etc., which is cluster 3 in the 2nd pillar of Horizon Europe. If I am called for a proposal, and the proposal is about safety of first responders, firefighters, rescuers, etc., I will declare myself as 100% relevant to the topic. If it is about prevention, wildfires prevention, I'm still 100% relevant to the. If it is about earthquake prevention and safety of responders in earthquake, I would give myself a 75% relevance to the top. So you see where I'm going with this. It's still within the same realm. So the evaluators for each proposal are selected because they are relevant to the subject matter of the proposal. But obviously one or two of them are much more 100% than the others. This was the case until now with the triplet. I think it will be the case now with the quartet for twinning. Perhaps they have included, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud, Adam. Perhaps they have included a fourth evaluator with more expertise on the RMA side. I don't know. But bottom line, I think that as a proposal, it doesn't change the philosophy, the way with which you should be structuring the proposal. Make sure you address all the relevant the reference documents, make sure you address the expected impact, make sure you write the science of it, both for the specialists and the non-specialists. Adam, any thoughts? Are you covered?
I may.
Of course you may, yes.
Yeah. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, actually, that fourth evaluator is an expert that has, based on European Commission, the role of rapporteur, and the person who can assist the three basic, let's say, assessors to come to a consensus.
The rapporteur is anyway an extra person, even in the process of the triplet. I'm not sure. I'm not aware, to be honest, if this case of a quartet of four evaluators that Adam mentioned is the fourth person is the rapporteur.
Okay.
If it is a rapporteur, then it basically doesn't change anything. But if it is a fourth evaluator per se, then there will be a fifth person, so to speak, that it is the rapporteur. But again, I'm just thinking out loud now. Please don't quote me on this.
Yes, we have two more questions from Karin. She says, thank you for your presentation. Could you inform how reviewers react in the writing proposals AI is used? And are these filters which requires AI restrictions? So we should restrict AI, and how assessors are reacting on reading documents. I'm not sure if they can understand it's produced by AI. But
you mean in terms? Okay, I thought it was about the content, because let me answer that
you
first.
can take the floor if you want to express better your question to Pierantonios.
Anyway, if your proposal is about utilizing AI, you should anyway declare this both in part A and then explicitly in part B. There are some scientific fields, some proposals that are indeed utilizing AI tools and are implementing AI tools. But the question was more about if I use AI tools to write the proposal. This is what I understand. Yeah. I have not had the chance yet myself to be an evaluator in this time where the AI tools have started being utilized very, very commonly. But from what I hear from friends and colleagues, there are indeed mechanisms, like there are mechanisms to find fully AI-generated texts for students in universities, etc. So there are quote-unquote counter tools. But I don't want to demonize AI. Of course, AI is being used. It is being used more and more widely. I don't want to make names of tools, as you understand. I would make the suggestion that I make also to my students and to my fellow researchers. Of course, you should use AI as a tool of refinement, a tool of enhancement. Make sure you mention this, you say it. In a recent proposal that we prepared for a different cluster, the consortium used an AI tool to refine and to polish, and we mentioned this clearly in the proposal that it was used for refinement, for polishing, but of course that the humans retained the full responsibility of choice and defining the scopes, etc., etc. I cannot say if it will be penalized per se. I don't think so, but again, don't quote me on this because I have not been acting as an evaluator extremely recently in these couple of years where AI tools are more and more used. But I wouldn't think that they will be penalized as long as they have not entirely referred the proposal. This is out of my common sense. Entirely refer the proposals through an AI tool. Why? Because it will be perhaps nicely written, but it will definitely not address the fine elements of reforms and institutional needs that you need to show in your proposal. This is why. So it will be bad for you to use it as a driver and not use it as a helping tool for refinement, for better polishing, etc., etc. Again, this is just Pierantonios speaking. I don't say this institutionally or because I have received such guidance from the Commission. Let me be clear on that.
I see Daria's hands. I assume, Daria, it's related to what we are talking about now?
Yes, exactly, Achilleas. May I just tell about this AI tool use? Exactly what Pierantonios said. The evaluators cannot penalize your proposal just because you used AI tools, especially if you stated that you used them. Sometimes we get synthetic texts, and it is clearly seen that you have just used. If you use the tools
like for our students, Daria.
Yes, exactly.
I mean,
the principles
you can see
are, yes, the principles are exactly the same. So you are responsible for the content, and AI cannot be blamed for bad content or bad proposal. But you should ensure, if you want, that you state also that you used some tools, and it is done very simply, that for this part we used the summarizing tool this and that, it was done then, and quoting like a literature in your proposal, so the same. But yes, of course, you bear all the responsibility for the content of the proposal. Yeah, this is just like for additional clarification.
You can even find thank you, Daria, for that. You can even find the wording on how to reference, to quote what it is that you did. Of course, again, this is humanized. I mean, you should define, like I said, in a proposal 2 months ago for a different cluster of Pillar 2, the consortium that I was part of, we used 2 specific AI tools to refine, polish, cross-check, cross-reference, etc., etc. In the beginning of the proposal, we clearly stated that we have used this and this tool to do these and these tasks, and the wording was something like, but the humans retained all the responsibility of choice, and something like that. You can find the wording to use.
Okay, and we have another question. You can see it if you want in the chat from Sotiris. Do you want to read it? You saw it?
I'm guessing this, Sotiris, I'm guessing this is RMA, Research Management Administration.
Yes.
Again.
Yes, thank you for the presentation and your time spent.
Thank you for listening. Okay, like I said, RMA, Research Management Administration, to our understanding, to my understanding, is not just project management. We, of course, refer to this in our everyday discussion as project management, but RMA includes quite a few things. It includes, for example, strategizing for research. how you strategize where to submit proposals, what sort of funding to hunt. So identification of funding opportunities, research, scientific communication, science communication dissemination, websites, social media, publications, articles for the lay person, so in newspapers, magazines, etc., scientific articles or papers. This is science communications. It is a chunk of activities, a specialization within RMA. Grant management. So you have the pre-award, let's say, research manager administrator. You have the post-award managing a grant. It is not just, making the deliverables and implementing the work packages, which is more scientific technical. It is also all the support mechanism on how you allocate the budget, how you keep the time spent, whether it's timesheets or an electronic system, how you report that. So it is also the administrative financial management of running. What else? Intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights and protection of data is again another specialization, if you will, of the modern research management administration. So RMA, I would consider it as an umbrella term of specializations supporting the implementation of actual research and science. There is a microphone open, which might distract the audience. Thank you. So, Sotiri, reforms in research management and administration entails also the way in which you propose these will be gathered, let's say, in a single unit, in a single office. Universities in Greece and in Cyprus, but also elsewhere, have research offices or grant management offices. But again, it is not only about managing the grant financially, administratively. It is also about having specialists that have the identification of proper, appropriate funding opportunities, collaborating with the people who will manage the grant later, with the people who will train new researchers that will come, with the people that are knowledgeable of EURAXESS, for example, situations like the support of mobility, the attraction and retainment of talent. All of these things together are RMA, the RMA concept. To find more about RMA, I urge you, not only Sotiris, but also the rest of you, check also what EARMA is doing. EARMA is the European Association of Research Managers and Administrators. I had the honor a few years ago to be the deputy chair of the Policy and Recommendation Committee. People who are project managers, to put it plainly, people who are in the administration and support services in universities and research institutions should definitely look into what this RMA is all about.
So, sorry to jump in. My question, first of all, thank you very much for detailing the RMA concept.
Yeah.
But my question was mainly focusing on what the term changes in RMA, how changes in RMA could be implemented in the proposal, and if there are any practical examples, because universities and institutions, at least most of the university institutions, usually already have established RMA structures. So in a WIDERA proposal that has a scientific part concerning the changes in RMA that you mentioned quite a lot in your presentation, what could be entailed? What would be included in the change? What could it mean?
Clear. I will give you an example.
If I can jump in, sorry for interrupting.
Sure, and then I will give an example.
You know that we are partners of Cardea project, which is one of the two pilot projects with RM roadmap, which is coordinated by ARMA, you already mentioned, for the establishing of the profession of research managers, their role, and to actually train them. If you visit the ERA Talent platform, there is already a policy introduced by our project CARDEA, which is the competence framework for research managers, similar in the way it's presented, I mean similar for as for researchers. So you can see there the competencies for this new profession, because it's a new profession promoted a lot by European Commission. It's recognizing research managers, the people who are supporting researchers to do research, as a simplified expression of what it is. So we identified 16 different main competencies, and they are spread in more. And I urge you to visit also, except of CARDEA project website, CARDEA Academy, which is a free of charge training platform containing 17 trainings, 16 plus 1, which is AI, we added last minute. You can follow all these trainings. At the end, we offer our partner, University of Macerata from Italy, offers a micro-credential, which is the first pilot way to recognize training for research managers. This means that in another proposal we submitted, and it was not funded, we went one step further, proposing this to become, for example, a PhD, a master's degree. So as you can understand, this profession and these people need to be recognized as a profession in order to understand from one side their needs, but also to tailor specific trainings for them. And this is actually this came to twinning via this. And the second thing I want to say is, as I am not, you are familiar with R1, R4 for researchers, the classification of the progress of career. This is also proposed by CARDEA, and it's in negotiation, let's say, with European Commission, the same classification to be used RM1 to RM4 for research managers. So you can see the similarities, but for sure different needs. So if you dig in a little bit with CARDEA Academy and the competence framework, you can understand more or less the needs of research managers, so the fields that you can improve and guide yourself to train these people and assist them.
Exactly, Sotiri, and the rest. So if you understand the competencies that have been defined for this category of employees in research institutions and in these supporters of research, and their willingness to become a recognized profession, by understanding these needed competencies, you can also think about suggestions to support these competencies and suggest them as a reform of the RMA environment in your institution, first of all, or in your region, or in your country. But let me give an example. I was part of the proposal writing team of RM roadmap when I was in my previous institution, not now the European University, so before 2021. And in that institution, like I said, I was the head of the Research Innovation Support Operations Unit of a teaming center of excellence. I had the honor to contribute in the proposal writing of that teaming. We won that teaming back then, and one of the reforms in RMA we were suggesting was exactly the creation of the unit that I later had the honor to head, the Research Innovation Support Operations Unit. And it was what? It was bringing under one umbrella all these separate project managers, all of these separate supporters of research. So the RMA unit that I had suggested was, and I was, like I said, later heading, was a collaboration of people with specialization in pre-award stage, identification of appropriate funding opportunities, proposal writing, with post-award management, grant managers, so people who were project managers would make sure that they kept the timeline, that they assisted the deliverables, They kept the reporting, they kept the timesheets, etc., with people who were responsible for the scientific communication, with people who were responsible for intellectual property rights, with people who were responsible for data protection and data management, and with people, with experts who were responsible for business development, because, okay, teaming also necessitates a business approach of creating a sustainable research center. This was the example in a teaming that I used to participate. In this institution where I am now, within which I won a twinning, like I said, something smaller. Again, we proposed the creation of a small, flexible unit that would be dedicated just to RMA, with simple core activities at pre-award and post-award care. What we were basically suggesting, both in the teaming and the twinning, the professionalization and uniformity of the approach of project management, research management, administration, Sotiri and the rest.
I see the hand of Alexandra. Do you want to take the floor?
Yes, thank you so much. Just a second, I will allow my camera. Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you for today, and it's so good to see you, to hear your advice and tips and tricks and everything. I have two questions directly related to this call, as we, as institution, we are planning to apply for. I'm here at the Faculty of Maritime Studies of the University of Split. I suppose you already know from the colleagues from Croatia, our faculties are separate legal units. So we are going to apply here as the faculty. And I have two questions for today. First one is, as we are really small, there is no budget for any kind of research management here at the faculty. Is it possible to put the budget line or just small heading for the participation in EARM? Or any kind of activity for research management, in order to approach something that we are normally not able to approach.
This is for the twinning call or the teaming?
For twinning.
With
what is your advice? What is your opinion?
Yeah. With a lot of how can I say, self-containment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will reply as Pierantonios. I would not do it.
Okay.
Because the twinning, but this is me,
Okay.
Take it at face value. I would not do it because usually fees of participating to associations, even pan-European associations,
Mm-hmm.
Are usually not considered eligible, within the Horizon Europe realm. But even so, more pragmatically, Alexandra, in your case, twinning already has, let's say, a limited budget. Let's say that you would suggest this and that you would include it. It's not a very small amount. It's not a couple of €100. And you would do this for the duration of the project. So let's say for 3-4 years, then what? Then you would have an extra burden on yourself to prove and to show how you would maintain the sustainability. Then you would have to argue in the proposal why you are allocating this portion of budget, even if it was €100, why you are allocating this budget to that, what it is you want to achieve, etc., etc., etc. And then let me ask you also vice versa. If your institution, I'm not saying anything about the University of Split, but if your institution is not willing to support you in laying the ground with perhaps funding an association fee, which would be for the entire university, not just for the faculty, how are they going to support you for stronger and deeper reforms needed.
Okay, that is related to my second question, and thank you for raising that one. The second question is, what I see here, I'm at the university, I'm here from 2009 and at this faculty from 2018. So more or less I know our ecosystem right now. What I see here is there is a big gap of misunderstanding what research management is. I'm afraid, and I have kind of proof for that, the researchers are not aware what is research managers, what are they doing for that. I have one really plain example. My research is, which is not related to my job, but is my personal thing, is related, for example, for plain language summaries. My research is based on that, and in communication. So, for instance, a couple of times I offered to write articles for lay people related to the research we are doing right here. Actually, nobody ever used it. So, is there possibilities in twinning a proposal? Is it smart to put again one activity that will kind of inform researchers what can they expect from research managers? Because I think there is like a understanding gap here between research management officers or supporters and researchers. What is your opinion on that?
I would say yes. I would say yes, because in your attempt through your twinning proposal, in your attempt to address the expected outcome of contributing to the reform of RMA, you could utilize the experience and knowledge of one or more of your advanced partners, so advanced universities, I would presume, from advanced countries, in how they have done it, in how they have incorporated understanding between the scientific, technical, hardcore, let's say, stuff with the research and innovation support stuff. By support, I mean also hardcore, but you see what I mean. You can exploit their experience and you can include an activity that will showcase both to the call to the evaluators how you are addressing the expected outcome of reforming, contributing to the reforming of RMA by enhancing the understanding between the two communities. The RMA community that is seeking, that is longing recognition of their professionalization, and the scientific community, which in many cases thinks we are the scientists, we are the researchers, we know it all. I know how to do project management. I don't need someone else from the administration.
Yes, it's just administration.
This is admin. This is admin.
Yeah,
I have heard this many times. I was an admin myself. So I chose the other way around. Anyway, so yes, you can include such an activity. Make sure that you showcase how the advanced partners are sharing their experience in this, because supposedly the advanced partners have progressed more in the encapsulation of RMA units, RMA-like activities in their institutions, and they will convey this experience to you through the twinning.
Good, thank you.
Again, this is just Pierantonios thinking.
Yeah. Pierantonios, just to jump in, for Croatia, especially University of Pula is partner of Cardea project.
Yeah, Ivona.
Yes,
yeah, she actually introduced me, and thank you for this 17th module. I was not aware of it, so I will make sure to.
But also being in Pula and meeting ex-EURAXESS, not ex, some of them, they are still EURAXESS members from AMEUP, the agency in ministry. I was aware that there are some activities from the agency for research managers. So you can ask them if this can, assist you in understanding better at least your national situation.
Thank you. Yes, that's a good idea. Thank you so much.
We have some questions in the chat, but also we have the head of Anahit. Anahit, it's related to research managers, or it's another question?
Is this Anahit? The Anahit I know, okay. Hello, Anahit.
NCP Anahit. Marie Curie.
NCP and EURAXESS Anahit.
Yeah, you cannot hear you, unfortunately. You are not
Anahit,
muted,
you're
but
muted,
we cannot hear you. Yeah. No, it's not muted, but we cannot hear you.
Okay.
No, still no.
Just send the heart to Anahit. Maybe it will help. No,
Okay, you hear me now?
Yes. Now we hear you.
Okay.
Now it works.
Sorry for this. First of all, hello everyone. Thank you very so much for organizing this, Pierantonios, Achilleas. Thank you for mentioning CPAC, and of course, thank you for dedicating this to our dear colleague and friend, Dimitrios Sanopoulos. I will be very brief. I know you were already running out of that time. I have two questions. One, I had some connection problems, so maybe you mentioned already, but I just need your advice, Pierantonios, on the consortium composition for the research managers facility call. It mentions that the preference, well, the organizations that are hosting the widening program NCP are encouraged to apply. So what if the organization hosting the NCP applies, but it involves in the consortium another organization from the same country, which has more need for the EREMA office establishment? I hope I'm clear. So, and my second question is that yesterday European Commission organized the implementation day. If you know, I myself could not manage to participate, but I heard from here and there that there are novelties, again, novelties for the 26, 2027 calls, that they, let's say, isn't the impact part. I don't know whether this also relates to the widening program. If you have some information, can you reflect on this? Like they made it more easier with the impact section, like some parts are not required any longer, like socioeconomic impact, pathways to the impact. I don't know, and some other novelties. So if you're aware, just reflect and just advise on the consortium composition for the facility call. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. I will let Achilleas perhaps answer the second one. Personally, I have not digested yet the new changes, but I do hear they can be challenging. Of course, every change is challenging. Achilleas, if you have more information on that and you have already digested perhaps internally with your institution, you can share thoughts. But I wouldn't like to share any thoughts at present before I fully review the changed templates and the changes in the impact section and digest them fully, because what we say openly can then be carried around. So I will disappoint you there, Anahit, unless Achilleas wants to say something. But for the first question, regarding the consortium mechanics, if you will, even if it is for the particular RMA, let's say, approach, I would implement what we usually implement, Anahit, also with other projects. So especially in proposals where you need consortiums and when you need internationality, I usually try to avoid, again, as Pierantonios, I usually try to avoid having a second or third partner from the same country, unless it is absolutely necessary and very well justified. In this case, it is not enough I am being strict on purpose. It is not enough for me to hear, yes, they need it more. They need the arm. Okay, so if they need it more, why don't they join? Or It is a requirement for the national contact point institutions to join. If yes, then you should keep the requirement, and then internally at national level you help the other institutions. It doesn't necessarily mean that you should include them in the proposal. But again, this is just because I like in European proposals, I don't want to sacrifice seats in the consortium for repetition unless it is absolutely necessary or unless the call requires it. For example, in the excellence hubs of WIDERA, it asks for each participating country to provide an ecosystem. By definition and by requirement, you must have more than one partner from the same country. Okay, but usually I don't like to. I don't like to include a second partner from the same country because it sacrifices internationality for me, geographical coverage. I don't know if I answered the way you expected.
Yeah.
But we can,
yes, it is.
especially the two of us, we can continue bilaterally.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Achilleas is smiling. This is the rest of dear friends. This is privileged, blatant, explicit, privileged manipulation.
You make me shy.
But we are long-time friends with Anahit, as with Achilleas, and with my Armenian friends. So that's why I say this openly.
Yeah. Actually, you see, there is a lot of participants from Armenia.
Yes, and
yeah, we worked in this direction. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for attending today once again. Thank you for listening to me.
Just to mention, I just added in the chat the link for the webinar, for the info day organized yesterday. Anahit mentioned there in this page you can find also the presentations, not only the recording, and explains in detail which sections are removed. So a part, the way, for those who were not attended, it's the way they explained it is that they would like to simplify impact and avoid duplication on providing many details, since yeah, and anyway, those details you should include, but they assume that you include it at the beginning of impact, and so there is a chance of duplicate things if you are pushed to address again these issues. And the second is the tables for other costs, where only equipment will be mentioned at the stage of proposal, not at the stage of contract. So when this proposal is intended to be funded, all the details should be given. This minimizes the number of pages, since you have to address only equipment exceeding 15% of personnel. But this doesn't mean that the reduction of 5 pages is enough. I think it's more than what it's already reduced. It's even narrower now for me, because this kind of tables could be 1 or 2 pages, Pierantonios, not more. Seeing also these addressing subtopics of impact could be, I don't know, maximum half of page. I don't know. So
have to, yeah. Like I said, I don't want to
3 pages. Yes, if you take into consideration that they removed 5, it's tight, very tight.
It's very tight.
Yeah, and
yeah, like I said, there is challenging changes, and I still haven't digested properly to be able to stand in front of you all to
transfer what we heard yesterday for those who didn't attend it. And also there is in 11th of February, I can copy paste also in the chat, another info day for AMSAM, which is not the easiest way to to address it. It's for twinning, so I can copy paste the link for you to attend. I already put it in my calendar because experience on that is, we are still gaining experience on that, and it's crucial. There is one question from Lilith saying that if a university has successfully implemented a twinning action, it's eligible to apply for a second twinning project. In which cases would this be justified, and what are the chances of being funded for a second time?
I think that the call, I can stand corrected, but I think that the call does allow you to, doesn't restrict you if you have won a twinning before, because it might well be that it is a twinning for a different department, different faculty of the same university. It depends again whether you are, the peak number is different, whatever. But I would say that yes, you can go for another twinning as a university, especially if it is in another field. Now, the same group, the same team of people from the university going for a second twinning, again, I don't think that there is a rule against it. I might be corrected. I don't think that there is a rule against it. But then, if I want to be strict, I have to ask, what is the justification for it? Are you doing a second twinning for a different thing? Same team, but different thing. So you want to expand expertise to attract advanced partner expertise in a slightly different discipline from the one that you made the first twinning. Why? It could be further diversification. But as a strict evaluator, I might be thinking, okay, are they just hunting for another not easy, but easier than usual funding because, okay, it is less competitive than the other horizon, although it has become competitive itself, but it is still more attractive in terms of competition than the other horizon. You should have a really good justification there. This is something that we have gone through personally also with the CEMET-FIRE project, with the twinning project that we have now. We have finished it and we are now at the reporting phase. And we were thinking with the consortium, so what do we do? Do we do a CEMET-FIRE number 2? We couldn't find ourselves a very strong justification. I would rather prefer that you go for other calls outside WIDERA, in the other pillars, in the other clusters. Why? Because in theory, my dear friend, I forget your name, in theory, in the twinning that you already did, you must have declared plans for further exploitation of your research, and the twinning you already did must have given you the opportunity to work more closely with advanced partners and for them to trust you, to include you in consortia, in competitive consortia that they propose. Why? Because the twinning supposedly raised your reputation and raised your capacities. These are main ticks of the twinning. So, 3 dots. I mean, yes, you can go for a second twinning, but I see more value in spending your time and human resources that have already been capacitated further through the twinning, spend them more wisely, more smartly in consortia with these advanced partners that you anyway had in the twinning. I'm thinking. Huh? I don't know if I covered you. I will take the silence as a yes. It suits me. I will take the silence as yes.
Please take the floor.
Yeah. Another hand, I see.
Hello, thank you. Thank you very much for covering my question. Hello. Actually, yeah, you're right. We have this in our proposal, and we reported to the Commission that we are planning to apply for other actions and go beyond the WIDERA calls. But we actually were not successful. We applied for teaming twice, but we were not successful. So that's why we were considering applying for the twinning for the second time, maybe by developing another direction to see if things go well in this direction.
What about excellence hubs, Lilith? You have done twinning. Excellence hubs. You have done twinning. Why don't you try to elevate into excellence hubs, trying to show that you did twinning, so you have taken experience, knowledge transfer from advanced partners. Now you are more in position to lead yourself a network of widening countries, 2 or 3, I would say 3, and to show how what you have learned, quote unquote, for twinning, you can implement yourself as a coordinator of a collaboration of ecosystems. This will pragmatically give you also the further experience you need to elevate yourselves further and to then reapply for teaming. This is the slide I showed as a suggestion of a proposing strategy. If you have been unsuccessful for teaming twice, I wouldn't fall back to twinning again, but I would try to show how the twinning experience and expertise I try to elevate into excellence hubs, where I will now be the experienced leader of other widening institutions in 2, 3 widening countries' ecosystems. And then you prove yourself more, and you also gain more experience, which would hopefully allow you to go for a teaming with more chances, and definitely with more experience luggage in your back. Again, thinking out loud.
Yeah, I appreciate this approach, and if you allow, I don't want to take much time from our participants.
Or ERA chairs, Lilith, sorry. Or ERA chairs. From the advanced partners that you had in the team, in the twinning, do you have people who would be interested from those advanced partners to make ERA chairs with your institution? And you know well now that ERA chairs allows for percentages of time. They don't have to completely move from their advanced country to Armenia, I'm guessing.
Well,
also, ERA chairs is a scale up, if you will, from twinning.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt
you. Yeah, it's okay. I don't want to personalize this meeting. I have many questions, and if you allow me, I will email very specifically the case, telling the case to you, and getting your advice on this.
Sure.
Thank you for covering this question.
You give me opportunity, Achilleas, sorry. You give me the opportunity to say that my contact details are out there for you. The last slide contains it.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
I will be happy to receive any questions that you have. I will try my best to answer not only your questions, Lily, but anyone else who wants to answer. But I make clear a disclaimer now. I will answer as Pierantonios out of personal experience and up to the level that I understand. I will not answer as a national contact point of WIDERA. So I urge everyone to pose any questions that they have also to the national contact points who are more specialized than me at the moment, because I'm not a national contact. I have been in the past, but it is a different thing of being a national contact point with responsibility now. So I cannot stress enough that you should talk to your national contact points, for sure, and the EURAXESS services network, for sure. Other than that, please, all of you, feel free to send me any questions, but please understand that I will answer as, you know, as a friend sitting down over coffee with some experience that I will answer on a personal hat. If that is clear to everyone, please send me any questions that you have. I will try to answer them as best as I can. Achillea, if you want to add on this as an acting EURAXESS person, please feel free.
You know that EURAXESS is open. They are people who are work on volunteer basis. So, as you said, free, not cheap. But we will to our capacity, to our experience, we can assist people. And then if we are not capable enough for specific questions, for sure we can redirect you to experts on the field, which no matter the field. We are trying to assist researchers around research, career development, etc. I don't see any other questions. If there is another question, please raise your hand and address Pierantonios. It seems not. So I would like to thank Pierantonios very much for his presence here. I know under the lines how busy he is. He's involved also in the Cyprus presidency. He's involved in many things, and we squeezed he squeezed this webinar in his
search and rescue,
time. Yeah,
civil protection,
rescue,
search
whatever.
and rescue.
You know. But you know, also presidency shows that they chose you because of your experience, overall and wide experience on things, not only that.
Enough.
Yeah, no. This is true. It's not. No matter if you are. I'm honored to consider you as a friend. This is facts, not personal opinion. And of course, thank you again for considering to address this to the memory of Mr. Sanopoulos. I didn't say anything at the beginning, but I can say very few words now, saying that I collaborated with him 24 years, so he was not a colleague, not just like a family, more than a friend. So it's very moving also for me, and we will try already propose to ESER to organize something, one podcast potentially of EURAXESS to address this to Miroslav Draganovic. We also lost in 2025.
Yes.
Mr. Sanopoulos, and not only people left, but from us, but also people who influenced the last 20 years so much EURAXESS network and actually shaped the EU policies for research. So it's a good idea. I hope that we will manage to do. Of course, I would like to thank all the participants, to remind you that the recording, the presentation, and the feedback form will be sent to you. Your comments, suggestions are very valuable for us to improve ourselves for the future organization of webinars and training. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Take care.